Very good. And then is that a and we're now we're in. We're getting. Yes. All right. Continuing. 1, 2, 3. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much. Excellent. Very glad to hear that. We're going to probably turn everything off for just a moment, and then we'll get going shortly.
Everyone. Thank you all so much for being here. What an incredible sight. I am so inspired. Thank you for coming. We are gathered here at this historic moment and in front of this storied building. Not that better? Not just as lawyers, judges, and legal professionals, but as guardians of something much greater than ourselves, the rule of law itself. Look around you. In over 48 cities across America at this very moment, thousands of legal professionals are standing just as we are, united in defense of judicial independence, the integrity of our profession, and the constitutional principles that define our nation. My name is Tracy Fight Love. I am the founder and executive director of Lawyers for Good Government. Thank you. Thank you. For the past 8 years, I've worked alongside many of you to mobilize lawyers in defense of civil and human rights, democracy, and the rule of law. But I can say without hesitation, we have never faced a moment quite like this one. The oath we took as attorneys has never carried more weight than it does today. We swore to support the Constitution of the United States, not just to passively respect it, but to actively defend it when threatened. And make no mistake, that's right, those threats are real and immediate, and we will not be silent in the face of these attacks. We have witnessed executive orders targeting law firms for representing clients adverse to this administration. We've seen judges face impeachment threats for upholding the law. We have watched as court orders have been treated as optional suggestions rather than binding mandates. This is not about politics or partisanship. This is about principles that transcend political divides. The rule of law is not a Democratic or Republican value. It's an American value. It is the foundation that makes all of our other rights possible. And there are some who would have you believe that the rule of law is a partisan issue or a complicated issue or a confusing issue that we need to have context to fully evaluate. It is not. It is so simple, children intuitively understand it. Imagine a child accused by their parents, punished, sent to their room without supper, without ever being given a chance to defend themselves. What would he say? No fair. Adults will tell that child over and over again as he gets older, you know what? Life isn't fair. And that's true. Life isn't fair, but government should be. That is what the rule of law is designed to protect, to create a fair, just government of the people. In a moment, you will hear from distinguished leaders who understand what's at stake. Then together, we will reaffirm our oaths, the solemn promises we made when we first entered this profession to support the Constitution of the United States. Before we do that, I want to thank our co-sponsors for this event and every one of you for standing up at this critical moment. Thank you to these co-sponsors: Alliance for Justice, American Constitution Society, Asian Pacific American Bar Association of DC, the Bar Association of the District of Columbia, the Hispanic Bar Association of the District of Columbia, the National Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, the National Bar Association, the National Women's Law Center Action Fund, Partners for Democracy, the South Asian Bar Association of Washington, D.C., the Washington Bar Association, the Women's Bar Association of the District of Columbia, Women Lawyers Forward, and Women Lawyers on Guard Action Fund. As we observe Law Day, we also want to extend our deepest gratitude to the many lawyers in attendance who are, have been, or maybe recently left our nation's civil service. Yep. They are proudly serving our country and the Constitution we each swore to defend. I know, for example, that we have many distinguished guests in the audience who until recently served in the Civil Rights Division at the Department of Justice. If this is you, and if you're comfortable doing so, would you please raise your hand, civil servants and former civil servants? Thank you so much. Thank you. I want to say this. To you and every other civil servant in attendance, we see you. We recognize your unwavering commitment to upholding our Constitution and protecting the fundamental rights of all people. Your work has touched countless lives across our nation, ensuring equal protection under the law, safeguarding voting rights, combating discrimination, and holding institutions accountable. I would also like to take a moment to publicly acknowledge and recognize the members of Congress who are standing in support of the rule of law today. We sent official invitations to this event to every representative and senator who holds a law degree, regardless of their political affiliation, to ask them if they would attend and demonstrate their support. In response, I am pleased that the following members of Congress are here in attendance, and we are so grateful for them being here. You will hear from each of them a bit later on. Senator Chris Coons of Delaware, Representative Sam Liccardo from California, Representative Jamie Raskin from Maryland, Representative Glenn Ivey from Maryland, Representative Suzanne Bonamici from Oregon, Representative Lizzie Fletcher from Texas, and Representative Hank Johnson from Georgia. Thank you. And last but not least, our next speaker, who I am honored to introduce, Congresswoman Mary Gay Scanlon, representing Pennsylvania's 5th Congressional District since 2018. Congresswoman Scanlon has dedicated her career to serving the most vulnerable, first as a lawyer and now in Congress. She currently serves on the House Committee on Rules, House Judiciary Committee, and serves as ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee's Subcommittee on the Constitution and Limited Government. She also chairs the House caucuses on access to legal aid, youth mentoring, and foster youth. As a staunch believer that everyone is entitled to equal protection under the law, Congresswoman Scanlon previously worked as National Pro Bono Counsel at a major U.S. law firm, where she directed and supervised more than 600 lawyers across 15 offices to provide more than 50,000 hours of pro bono legal services annually to low-income clients and nonprofit organizations. Under her leadership, the Pro Bono program worked on critical issues, including voting rights, child advocacy, immigration, public benefits, and criminal justice reform. Before her election to the U.S. House of Representatives, Congresswoman Scanlon also served as an attorney at the Education Law Center, president of her local school board, and co-chair of the Voting Rights Task Force of the Association of Pro Bono Counsel. She is a graduate of Colgate University and University of Pennsylvania Law School. Congresswoman Scanlon.
Thank you. Thank you all for being out here to recognize Law Day and the necessity that all of us, but particularly those in the legal profession, stand up for the rule of law and judicial independence, not just on Law Day, but every day. As lawyers, we've all taken an oath to support and defend our Constitution. Many of us here have also taken the oath of elected office to support and defend our Constitution. In doing so, we've vowed to protect our system of government and the rule of law upon which our country is built. Right now, it is entirely clear that the principles we've sworn to uphold are under attack. I think you all understand the urgency of this moment. Those in power are testing fundamental boundaries. Their actions are flying in the face of our American tradition that no one is above the law. And we're seeing them hope that the accountability system and checks and balances upon power enshrined in our Constitution will not hold. But as attorneys, we have a crucial role in ensuring that it does hold. I come to you as one who spent decades organizing and persuading lawyers to fulfill their obligation to provide legal services pro bono publico, free legal services for the public good. I believe now is the time to build on the call to action of President John F. Kennedy in 1963. That summer, he called upon the most prestigious law firms in the land to help educate the public on the importance of civil rights and the need to represent people to secure those rights. Now we face a similar call to action in the face of threats to our civil rights and our Constitution. Once again, it is critical that those in the legal profession stand united to protect our constitutional system. So on this Law Day, I'm asking all of you and those who aren't here to use your voices, to use your expertise, to use your professional obligations to defend our democracy, to defend it in the courts, and in educating the public about our constitutional system and why it matters. Because if we don't stand up now for the rights and freedoms of some, whether that's due process, free speech, or anything else, then we don't stand up for the rights of anyone. And that means that the liberties of all people all across America are under threat. It is particularly important in this moment that we show young Americans that this isn't an abstract academic exercise, because they understand, I think as Tracy just indicated, they understand that just as with schoolyard bullies, when those in power challenge the rule of law, they challenge decency and fundamental fairness. Each incremental violation is designed to test what we will tolerate. It's calculated. It can be tempting to believe that if we just let one small transgression slide, then maybe it'll be the last, but it never is. And by the time some realize that they should have stood up firmly to the first few nudges, it can be too late. So standing up for our founding principles isn't about virtue signaling. It's our fundamental duty to preserve our democracy. This is our gift to future generations. It's how we plant stakes in time and declare what matters, even if a small act may seem trivial in the moment, but to allow someone or a group of people to trample on the carefully crafted checks and balances in our Constitution or the liberties enshrined in the Bill of Rights or other amendments, that's a disgrace. A society that abandons its core principles is a deeply troubled one. And Law Day, May 1st, was established by President Eisenhower to celebrate the rule of law after the horrors of World War II showed us the consequences to a free society when the rule of law breaks down. The rule of law is not an abstract. It's a living ideal that must shape our everyday lives. One that all of us must live up to, particularly those in the legal profession. It's a principle we can't take for granted and one we need to defend. We must stand up to dangerous attempts to undermine our Constitution. We must uphold the rule of law, judicial independence, and the independence of the legal profession. And we must always strive for a more just, more fair America. So let us all today reaffirm our oaths to the Constitution with these values and promises in mind. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Representative Scanlon. I am now very proud to introduce the top Democrat on the Judiciary Committee, who asked that I tell you only 2 things about him. Number 1, his book, We Are Students, was banned in Texas, although it is for sale in the Supreme Court bookstore. And the next day, he was banned in Russia by Putin for life. Here he is, Representative Raskin.
Hey, everybody. Banned in Texas, banned in Russia, but I'm making it here at the Supreme Court today with all the lawyers, all the great lawyers. So, to the bar associations and the bar groups and all you natural persons out there, thank you for exercising your right to petition for redress of grievances, your right to assemble, your right of free speech, right here in the nation's capital, right in front of the Supreme Court. What an honor it is to be with you guys. Tom Paine said that in the absolute societies, the king is law, but in America, the law will be king. The law will be king. So, look, you guys know, I'm seeing some of my former colleagues from American University's Washington College of Law here out in force. So you're putting me in the mood of a law professor. And I think after even, 100 days of this or many years of this, the whole country needs a little constitutional refresher. What do you think? What do you think? So, so forgive me, because you can take the law professor out of the classroom, but let's start with the beautiful preamble to the Constitution, our mission statement, right? We, the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and preserve to ourselves and our posterity the blessings of liberty, do hereby ordain and establish the Constitution of these United States of America. Okay. And the very next sentence in the Constitution is the first sentence of Article 1. And what does it say? All legislative power shall be vested in the Congress of the United States. That's all the lawmaking power. That's all the power of the purse, the spending power, the budget power. Page after page, we've got the power to regulate commerce domestically and internationally. We've got the power over tariffs. We've got the power to declare war. We've got the power to raise armies and navies. And you get through all of that, the budget and the spending and the taxes. Then you get to Article 1, Section 8, Clause 18, and all other powers necessary and proper to the execution of the foregoing powers, right? Then after all that, you get to Article 2, right? 4 short little paragraphs, the most important of which reads, the president shall be impeached for treason, bribery, and other high crimes and misdemeanors. Okay? But look, what is the core job? Some of my colleagues will sometimes say, we've got 3 co-equal branches. Give me a break. First of all, co-equal is not even a word, right? That's like extremely unique or something like that. It's not even a word. If we're equal, why did James Madison say in the Federalist Papers that the legislative is clearly the predominant branch of government? Why is it we've got the power to impeach, try, and convict the president, but he doesn't have the power to impeach, try, and convict us? Okay? It's because the framers understood the dangers of a king. One person who thought that they had mad power over everybody else. Our Constitution was designed against kings and queens and monarchs and nobles. It's unconstitutional to create titles of nobility in the United States of America. But anyway, you get through all that, and the core job of the president, after being the commander-in-chief of the Army and Navy in times of actual conflict, not commander-in-chief of the country or the government, commander-in-chief of the Army and Navy in times of actual conflict, the president's core job is what? To take care that the laws are faithfully executed, right? Not diminished, not trashed, not reversed. If it's gone through the House and it's passed, it's gone through the Senate and it's passed, it's been signed into law by the president or vetoed by the president and overridden by 2/3 of Congress, then it is a law. Your job is to take care that the laws are faithfully executed. All we say to the president of the United States is, do your job. Do your job. Now, fortunately, we've got Article 3, right? And the Supreme Court said, Chief Justice Marshall said in 1803, it is emphatically the province and the duty of the judicial department to say what the law is. That is the role of the court. And under the Supremacy Clause, the Constitution and the federal laws under it are supreme. We don't have a supreme leader. We have a supreme constitution in America. And all of it is for the benefit of we the people. And that's why the Bill of Rights is so central to what makes America, America, right? And right now, all of it is under attack. The First Amendment, the freedom of speech is under attack. The freedom of press is under attack. You know, the press has the right to call the Gulf of Mexico without being kicked out of the White House. Okay? Free exercise, the Establishment Clause, the right to assemble, the right to petition for redress of grievances, due process, the two most beautiful words in the English language, all of it's under attack. It is due process which separates the rights and the freedoms of the people from arbitrary state power. It is due process. And as the courts have been saying, if you can sweep non-citizens up off of the street with no criminal charges against them and deport them to a torturer's dungeon prison in another country, then you can do it to citizens too. Because if you can do it without due process, you don't even have the right to assert that you are a citizen. So we are going to stand up for the Bill of Rights for all persons in the United States of America. We're going to stand up for due process for everybody. We're going to stand up for the right of free speech. We're going to stand up for the right of free press. My friends, I'm going to leave you with the words of some of the great democracy patriots, because there's no democracy without the rule of law, just like there's no rule of law without lawyers, and there's no rule of law without democracy. You don't find it in the dictatorships, in the tyrannies. Democracy and the rule of law go together, and they stand best when they stand together. And so I want to quote to you first a great lawyer, Thomas Jefferson, who at another time like this, in fact, they're invoking some of the same laws today, at the time of the Alien and Sedition Acts, the time of the 1798 Alien Enemies Act. A friend wrote Jefferson, despairing of the condition of the country. And Jefferson wrote him back and he said, "A little patience, and the reign of witches shall pass over. Their spells dissolve, and the people recovering their true sight will restore their government to its true principles. In the meantime, we're enduring all of the malignities and horrors of this period. But if the game runs against us sometimes, Jefferson said, then we must have patience until our luck turns, because this is a game where principles are at stake. The great Thomas Jefferson. I want to quote to you the great Marylander Frederick Douglass, who was born 40 minutes away from here at the Wye River Plantation into slavery. And he escaped from slavery to become our great freedom fighter through the Civil War, through Reconstruction. And Frederick Douglass said, if there's no struggle, there's no progress. And the struggle may be moral, it may be physical, it may be moral and physical, but there must be struggle. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never has, and it never will. A message to you from the people of Maryland. And I'll leave you finally with the words of the great Tom Paine, who my son Tommy was named after. And you know, Tom Paine got here in 1774, 2 years before the American Revolution. He fell in love with the promise of America. He said, if this land lives up to its values and its laws and its ideals, it will become an asylum to humanity, he said. Not an insane asylum, mind you, but a place of refuge for people seeking freedom from religious and political and intellectual repression from all over the world. And 1776 was a tough year. Half the people were running around saying, you can't beat the kings and the queens and the monarchs and the autocrats. For most of history, people have lived under tyrants like Vladimir Putin. You can't disentangle church and state. But half of the people said, no, let's give it a chance. Let's try to wrest government on the principle of the consent of the governed, and all persons having unalienable rights like life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and all of us being created equal. And Paine wanted to write a pamphlet to give people hope and encouragement when it wasn't clear which way people were going. And he wanted people to pledge to each other their sacred honor, their fortunes and their lives, their property, to hang tough for democracy and freedom. And he wrote this pamphlet called The American Crisis. I'm going to quote a little passage for you, and I'm going to update the language pursuant to strict instructions from Nancy Pelosi, who said Tom Paine was a feminist, and that he wouldn't mind, and he was fighting for women's voting rights back in the 18th century. But anyway, Paine said, these are the times that try men and women's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will shrink at this moment from the service of their cause and their country. But everyone that stands with us now will win the love and the favor and the affection of every man and every woman for all time. Tyranny, like hell, is not easily conquered, but we have this saving consolation. The more difficult the struggle, the more glorious in the end will be our victory. Let's make that victory ours. Thank you, lawyers. Thank you, bar associations. Hang tough.
Thank you. Thank you, Representative Raskin. Thank you so much. It is my honor to next introduce Wiley Adams, the 82nd president of the National Bar Association, presiding over the NBA during its centennial celebration. He retired in 2020 as the chief legal officer of one of the 10 largest asset management businesses in the world. He earned his JD from the University of Wisconsin Law School and his BA from Augustana College in Rock Island, Illinois, majoring in accounting, business administration, economics, and political science. He serves on the board of the only Black-owned bank in Illinois, and we are so pleased to have him with us, Mr. Wiley Adams.
Greetings, good afternoon, distinguished guests, colleagues, and friends. And I want to take a moment of privilege to introduce you to our Vice President of Sections and Divisions, Kimberly Ward, and also to my partner in justice, my lovely wife, Lisa Adams, who's here with me today. So it is an honor to stand before you today on National Law Day, a day when we pause to reflect not only on the law that governs us, but on the deeper ideals that define us. At the foundation of this nation is a simple yet profound belief that all people are endowed with certain inalienable rights, among them life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These rights are not gifts from the government. They are inherent to our humanity. And it is the rule of law that gives these rights meaning in our daily lives. The rule of law is not merely a principle enshrined in our books or etched in marble. It is a living promise. It ensures that no one, no matter how powerful, stands above the law, and that every person, no matter how humble, is protected by it. As lawyers, we have a solemn duty not only to advocate for our clients, but to protect the integrity of the rule of law itself. That means standing firm for the freedom of the press, because a free and independent press is the sunlight that keeps democracy alive. It means defending the independence of the judiciary, because a free and independent judiciary and the judges that decide cases must be free from political pressure or intimidation. And it means upholding due process, even when it is inconvenient, especially when it is inconvenient, because justice delayed is justice denied. And shortcuts around due process out of mere convenience erode the very freedom we claim to cherish. You know, as I was riding over here today, I rode past the African American Museum of History and Culture. And I've heard that certain exhibits and artifacts were being removed from our museum. So as I stand here today, I would be remiss if I did not say, President Trump, keep your hands off our museum. So today, the challenges we face are real. Attacks on truth, on institutions, on the very fabric of democratic governance. So on this National Law Day, we dedicate ourselves to the cause of justice. We stand in proud tradition of those who understood that the rule of law must be a shield for the vulnerable, not a weapon for the powerful. So let us leave here not just as practitioners of law, but as guardians of liberty, protectors of democracy, and champions of enduring American promise. Thank you, and may justice always light our path. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Adams. We now come to a pivotal moment in our gathering, one that reminds us of the sacred promises we've all made as members of the legal profession. We will first hear from 5 distinguished members of Congress who, before serving in the legislative branch, took attorney oaths in their respective states. They understand the sacred responsibility we bear as guardians of justice, and each will share the attorney oath from their home state, demonstrating how our profession speaks with many voices, but one commitment across this great nation. Following their presentations, we will invite all attorneys present today to join in a collective reaffirmation of our oath led by retired administrative law judge Leslie A. Susan. This act is more than symbolic. It is a renewal of our professional vows at a time when they have never been more important. So please help me welcome our congressional colleagues, starting first from the great state of Delaware with Senator Chris Coons, who will share Delaware's attorney's oath.
Good afternoon, everybody. How are you? Are we proud to be Americans living under a constitution in a nation dedicated to the rule of law? In 1992, I took the oath as a young Delaware attorney. I've been a member of the Delaware Bar ever since. And as a member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, I've conducted confirmation hearing after confirmation hearing. I have questioned and pressed and asked for commitments for a generation of federal judges to respect and observe the rule of law. From attorneys general to federal prosecutors to judges, my question has always been, do you understand that we all swear an oath to uphold the Constitution, not an oath of loyalty to any one politician, potentate, prince, or self-appointed king? And I've let the answer to that guide for whom I have voted. My small state was the first state to ratify the Constitution. And our small but mighty bar of 3,200 members is proud to have contributed what we have to our nation's independence. So it's an honor to count you among those who gather to celebrate Law Day and to repeat the somewhat quirky, a little antiquated, but fabulous lawyer's oath from Delaware. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Delaware, that I will behave myself in the office of an attorney within the courts, accounting to the best of my learning and ability, and with all good fidelity as to the court, as to my client, and that I will use no falsehood, nor delay any person's cause through lucre or malice. So help me God. Thank you all.
Thank you, Senator Coons. Next up from California, we have Representative Sam Liccardo, who will share the California Attorney's Oath.
Well, good afternoon. We got any attorneys around here? That's good, because we're going to need some pretty soon. My words to you are very simple. Thank you. We're 100 days in of this awful nightmare, and already 93 federal courts have issued injunctions, Republican and Democratic appointed judges, because of the extraordinary work that you and our brethren are doing throughout our country. Thank you for standing up for our Constitution. I know you don't stand up for our Constitution because you're lawyers. You stand up for our Constitution because you're Americans. And collectively, we say to Donald Trump, our Constitution is not negotiable. And I love the sign. You're damn right. We're going to impeach him in 2026 when we get the chance. But until then, sue the bastards. All right. I've got an oath to offer from the great state of California that I took when I was a little younger. Okay, maybe 30 years. I solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of California, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of an attorney and counselor at law to the best of my knowledge and ability. As an officer of the court, I will strive to conduct myself at all times with dignity, courtesy, and integrity. Thank you all for what you're doing throughout our country.
Thank you, Representative Liccardo. Next up from Maryland, Representative Glenn Ivey, who will share Maryland's oath.
How you doing out there? Yeah, I had to ditch the coat. It's so hot out here. My goodness. And for a bald guy, it's tough on the head. Let me tell you. Look, congratulations on all the work that you're doing. How many of you all out there are lawyers? All right. You know, this is fantastic for us to come and reaffirm our commitment to the rule of law today, because usually on Law Day, we're just sort of doing the rah-rah thing. But today we remember we're fighting to protect the rule of law, right? It's an all-out fight. There's a sign behind me about Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a young man who was taken out of my district and whisked off to El Salvador, to the most dangerous prison in the world, without any kind of due process. And the Republican colleagues have the nerve to say that he actually got due process, because in 2019, there was a judge who said, don't send him to El Salvador, or don't put him with MS-13. But that's exactly what the Trump administration did. And they acknowledge it was wrong, but they still defend it and still won't bring it back. We won't stand for that, will we? We've got to fight to make sure that he gets brought back. And think about the 4-year-old kid that they just sent out of here. Stage 4 cancer. Can you believe it? And they didn't even let him take his medicine with him. And they're still standing trying to defend sending him out of here. It's illegal, it's wrong, it's unconstitutional, and we're going to beat it, right? This is a fight for the heart and soul of the United States of America and democracies around the world. This is a pivotal moment in history, and we've got to make sure we're going to win, aren't we? Yeah! We got to win. All right, I'll do the oath real quick. I'm going to do the D.C. oath because it's shorter. I'm also a member of the D.C. bar. I, Glenn Ivey, do solemnly swear or affirm, let me put my hand up, that as a member of the bar of this court, I will demean myself uprightly and according to law, and that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America. Donald Trump, are you listening? Pam Bondi, are you listening? Are those lawyers who are going in pretending that Garcia should be in El Salvador, are they listening? We've got to make sure that they hear what we're saying today, so they follow due process and follow the rule of law. Thanks so much, and keep up the fight.
Thank you, Representative Ivey. Thank you. Thank you so much, and thank you all. From Texas now, we have Representative Fletcher, who will share Texas's oath.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh, what a beautiful sight. I'm so glad to see all of you here today and to be here with all of you today. With my wonderful colleagues who are so inspiring. And of course, one of my mentors who made it here all the way from Houston, and so many lawyers from across the DC area and from across the country who are here today because we understand the times that we are living in. And we are here to retake our oaths of office, our oaths as lawyers, the cornerstone of our profession and our promise to our fellow Americans. We're here to support the Constitution of the United States and defend the Constitution of the United States and to protect the constitutional rights of all who live here. We are here to ensure due process and make sure that we are opposing anything that undermines due process. And we are, as my oath says, which I'm about to take, we're here to conduct ourselves with integrity and honesty. And that is what we do as lawyers, as representatives and members of the bar. And it is what we need all Americans to do today. So I'm so proud to retake the oath that I swore when I was admitted to the State Bar of Texas back in 2006. I didn't need these glasses then, but I do now. I, Elizabeth Pannell Fletcher, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of this state, that I will honestly demean myself in the practice of law, that I will discharge my duties to my clients to the best of my ability, and that I will conduct myself with integrity and civility in dealing and communicating with the court and all parties. So help me God.
Thank you so much, Representative Fletcher. Next up, from Oregon, Representative Suzanne Bonamici, who will share Oregon's oath.
Thank you all. Thank you, lawyers, friends of lawyers. I just want to say I started my career down the street as a government lawyer for the Federal Trade Commission. So thank you. Thank you to the federal lawyers, the workers who are still fighting it out, and those who have lost their jobs. I also want to give a shout out to our federal public defenders. I have fought for defense funding for years because we need public defenders to have a strong system of justice, too often unrecognized. Thank you to the federal defenders. I also worked for a law firm. Thank you to the law firms who are standing up to this administration and to their outrageous attacks. Thank you to those law firms. And finally, I want to say that I'm here to reassert my oath to the Constitution, an oath I took when I became a member of the bar in 1983, an oath I took as a member of Congress, and I will reaffirm today. But I want to say we're standing in front of the Supreme Court today. Our court system, our Article 3 court system is here to resolve disputes. It is not for retribution against political enemies. So I, Suzanne Bonamici, swear that I will faithfully and honestly conduct myself in the office of an attorney in the courts of the state of Oregon, that I will observe and abide by the rules of professional conduct approved by the Supreme Court of the state of Oregon, and that I will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States and the state of Oregon. To the court, opposing parties and their counsel, I pledge fairness, integrity, and civility, not only in court, but in all written and oral communications. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Bonamici. And now, lastly but not least, we have Representative Hank Johnson from Georgia.
Good afternoon. In 1775, 250 years ago, at the Second Virginia Convention, in the run-up to the Declaration of Independence, July 4th of 1776, these words were uttered by an American patriot, a farmer, a politician, and a lawyer. His name was Patrick Henry, and he uttered these 7 words: "Give me liberty or give me death." Today we stand in front of the citadel of the rule of law, which undergirds our democracy, the United States Supreme Court. And we, lawyers from across the country, are gathered in front of this edifice to democracy to affirm and fight for, or pledge our support and fight for the rule of law and for the independence of the judiciary. 2 very important concepts that undergird our freedom. We're here to fight for that. Lawyers fight for justice. No matter what type of law you practice, you find a way, or you should find a way, to fight for justice. But as we get older and we acquire debt and opulent tastes for living, sometimes the ideals that we adhered to as youth, we no longer find useful. And unfortunately, we have 10 top powerful law firms in this country that should be supporting the rule of law, but instead they are conspiring and consorting with those who would undermine the rule of law. And if those lawyers can't fight for our system, that means that the clients that they represent have cause to worry whether or not they're going to worry more about their own profits per partner than bringing justice to their clients. So as a lawyer who took the bar and passed and was sworn in front of a Superior Court judge in DeKalb County, Georgia, back on July 3rd of 1979, I took an oath similar to this one. The current one says that I, Henry C. Hank Johnson, Jr., swear that I will truly and honestly, justly and uprightly conduct myself as a member of this learned profession in accordance with the Georgia Rules of Professional Conduct as an attorney and counselor, and that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Georgia. So help me God. Even though I'm a Buddhist, so ladies and gentlemen, let us never forget the vow, the oath, the pledge that we took as young lawyers to do justice. Let us never forget that. And let us remember, what would Patrick Henry think of us at times such as this? He said, "Give me liberty or give me death." Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Representative Johnson. And thank you to all of our congressional colleagues for those powerful reminders of our shared commitment across different jurisdictions. Now that we have been reminded of our oaths and their import on Law Day, in a moment I will invite all attorneys present to join me in raising your right hand to join in the ceremonial oath reaffirmation. And I invite our distinguished guest, retired administrative law judge Leslie Suzanne, to join me on the podium and lead us in reciting the DC oath.
I just want to really quickly call out another category of lawyers and judges that haven't been mentioned. I just want to give a shout out to the administrative judiciary, which led the way in being under attack and is still under attack, and works tirelessly at state and federal levels to be sure agencies do in fact faithfully execute the laws. So please raise your right hand as we collectively reaffirm our oath to the Constitution and to our profession. I will read the oath and ask you to repeat after me, filling in your name. I, Leslie Suzanne, do solemnly swear that as a member of the bar of the court, I will demean myself uprightly and according to law, and that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you. I am going to ask all of you who just had your hands raised to please raise them one more time so I can capture the view from up here for anyone who could not be here before. Thank you all so much. Oh, just a moment while I get the papers that have flown away. Thank you, buddy. Okay. I hope that this moment of solidarity will strengthen our resolve to fulfill the promises we have made to our clients, to our courts, and to our country. Whatever challenges lie ahead, let us face them with the integrity and courage befitting members of this honorable profession. As we prepare to leave this gathering, and please don't leave quite yet, as we're going to ask everyone for a photo if possible, I want to thank everyone who made this extraordinary day possible. To our distinguished speakers, thank you all so much. Thank you for lending your voices to this crucial cause. To our partner organizations and sponsors, thank you for standing shoulder to shoulder with us in defense of these principles. To every attorney who retook the oath today, thank you for recommitting yourselves. Recommitting yourselves to the Constitution and the rule of law. That promise is not just words on paper, it is the foundation of our democracy. To every lay person who joined us, thank you for recognizing that this fight belongs to all of us. She, of course, did not put it on the script, but I want to thank my colleague Sterling Howard and also Zainab Youssef, who made all of this happen. So thank you. And I also want to thank my daughter, Carly, who inspires me every day to never stop fighting for the future of this country. What we have done here today, it matters. It matters because we have shown that intimidation will not silence us. It matters because we've demonstrated that the legal community stands united in defense of our constitutional principles, and our work does not end today. In fact, it is just beginning. This moment requires more than words. It demands that we take action on our oath. What does that mean? It means speaking up when we see threats to judicial independence or attacks on our profession. It means using our legal skills to challenge unconstitutional actions through strategic litigation, amicus briefs, and pro bono services for those most effective. And it also means educating our communities about why these seemingly lawyerly issues matter for everyone's rights and freedoms. Yes, thank you. At Lawyers for Good Government, we are committed to supporting and coordinating this ongoing response. You will notice that many of the signs around you have a QR code on them. If you will please use those QR codes or go to l4gg.org/law day, you will find information about how to take next steps and stay engaged. You can subscribe to receive meaningful action items that you can take as lawyers to defend the rule of law and civil rights. You can volunteer with our programs to help those most impacted by government overreach. Stay engaged with this community so that together we can continue to stand up for our justice system. Remember why we all entered this profession. For most of us, it wasn't for wealth or status. It was because we believed in justice. We wanted to help people. And we believe in the power of law to protect the vulnerable and to hold the powerful accountable. Our profession has faced dark moments before, during McCarthyism, during the civil rights era, and at so many other pivotal points in our history. Every time there were lawyers who stood firmly for principle and helped guide our nation back to its better self. This is our moment to do the same. As we leave here today, please carry with you the knowledge that you are not standing alone. You are part of a nationwide community of legal professionals who refuse to be silent in the face of threats to our system of justice. Thank you for your courage, your commitment, and your presence here today. I have one final request before you disperse. We would like for all attorneys who reaffirmed their oath today to please, if you can, remain for just a few more minutes, and I will ask you to gather here in a moment in front of the stage for a group photograph. We hope that this image will serve as a powerful visual reminder of this nationwide stand for the rule of law. When future generations look back on this moment, we want them to see not just words, but the faces of those who stood up when it mattered. So please, once I step away from the podium, please do not go on the steps of the Supreme Court. That's very important. But once I step away, please come forward and help us document this historic day. Thank you so much. Let us go forth and never stop fighting for the rule of law. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, everybody.